All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to jump into the numbers for MLB The Show because a lot of the PlayStation folk are saying that this game, PlayStation did not need Xbox for it, and MLB forced them, according to one of my last videos, and you guys saw the comment on that video. MLB forced PlayStation to go ahead and publish this game on other platforms, of which I've laughed at and said, who would dare force the console leader to do anything in a market where the console leader can go make its own baseball game? Sure, be generic, but Konami has done the same and stayed successful for a while until their game's quality started to drop. That's why Konami basically lost a lot in terms of its position in the soccer gaming market. Well, EA was always with the licenses and always had that lead, but Konami did a great job before EA came in. And one of my audience members, the most powerful gaming historian, shout out to you, sent me a few, tidbits for the data set. He just took screenshots. They're from the sales numbers are from Wikipedia. And I thought we'll take a look at them because that particular set of sales data doesn't have any sources. So I think they might be estimates or somebody who may have had access to the information maybe put it up there. I don't really know. So let's go ahead and look at what MLB The Show was doing from a sales perspective, or at least estimated from a sales perspective all the way through now. So if you go to Wikipedia, it says that this section does not cite any sources. This is why I think this is interesting, because this section actually does cite a source. So if anything, we can look at these numbers and say, it may be or it may not be. However, there's something interesting about this source that's being cited that I think kind of gives these numbers a little bit of maybe believability or credibility in a sense. And that is from here, which is Business Wire, which is a Berkshire Hathaway company. So they're actually going based on numbers. And this is back in 2021 when they were talking about the PS5 console sales. I think Berkshire Hathaway has investments in Sony as well. In this particular report, they're talking about Sony announcing that it had sold about 10 million units globally since launching about a year previously at the time. And then basically they said it's the fastest selling console in the company's history and continues to outplay sales of its predecessor, the PS4. So whenever they say this is the fastest, selling or whatever, it means it's just selling a lot more and their stonks are high. In this particular document, somewhere here in the corner, they gave some stats. In those stats, they gave Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, which had sold about 6.5 million copies at the time, and MLB The Show 2021, which at the time was its first debut on other platforms. And they said that from San Diego Studios is the fastest selling title in franchise history with more than 2 million copies sold across all platforms. Interesting. There's an asterisk which we probably need to go ahead and, take into account. And this says as of July 18, 2021. So if this was the best they had ever seen in terms of sales from MLB The Show, I can say with a certain level of confidence, not a high level, but mid-tier level of confidence, that this game had not seen a lot of sales as much previous to MLB 2021. If you look at MLB 99, yes, 2.52 million copies, but this particular game, as of 2021 July, had already amassed over 2 million copies. So MLB 2021 seemed like at the time, it was more than likely the highest selling the highest selling title among the franchise. And so this is where we're going to begin from. Remember in my last video, I said I purposefully decided that I wasn't going to go ahead and look at the sales numbers because I wanted to first kind of break down what I thought a business dealing like that would have looked like. I mean, if you guys want to think about it, ladies and gentlemen, it's not hard to decipher that somewhere, somehow, MLB looked and said, man, these sales are not the greatest. Or PlayStation looked and said, these sales are not the greatest. And somewhere, somehow, somebody had to make the decision that this game needed to reach more people as other sports games were reaching other, audiences. And it made sense that the game moved to another audience, but it also made sense that MLB be the one in front of this whole thing so that Sony can save face. But when I fired up MLB The Show for the first time yesterday, I saw the big introduction with PlayStation Studios on it. It kind of put me on I was like, oh, I didn't expect to see that. I would have thought they would have just said, MLB The Show, get the heck out of here. No, they slapped that thing on there, and I was like, man, they must be really, really proud to have had this game show up on the Xbox platform. And believe me, it actually did pay off, because the way the data or the way the sales, are reported is across all platforms. All what? This was just only on Xbox more recently. So apparently the sales did help push the game forward, which does a lot of things, in my opinion, for a lot of what I've been arguing about in this particular paradigm, which is, number one, exclusives, especially in the third-party side, because MLB is a license, and you can call it third-party or first-party, whatever it is you want to call it. Exclusives suck. I mean, at the end of the day, right? And then at the end of the day, it shows that PlayStation has benefited from this particular move. I was in the comment section with someone who was saying, well, you can't say that PlayStation brought this game to Xbox out of desperation. And I said, how would you even know? What are the sales figures looking like? And what are the benefits that PlayStation is actually experiencing from this? And they got all upset and said, oh, you're talking blah, blah, blah. You don't want to listen. And I'm like, you are avoiding reality. You are avoiding reality. And this avoidance of reality is why nobody wants to say anything to PlayStation players anymore. Everyone is just pretty much ignoring us in the gaming conversation. And this is exactly one of the reasons that I make these videos, because at some point we're going to see what the data says. We're going to see what the statistics are. And as much as people try to deny and run away from reality, guys, you got to at least take a little bit of a critical eye to this particular, issue. Because all this talk that PlayStation put out there and said, oh yeah, it was MLB's decision. Of course it was MLB's decision. It had to be MLB's decision, because if it was PlayStation's decision, it's basically an admission to the fact that their business strategy was not strong enough to carry all games. So somebody else had to be in front of it. Am I right? Not saying that there's anything wrong with this. And I've been reading long missives from some of my audience members about all of this stuff. Like, it was so funny when I started seeing this stuff. Let me show you guys the TLDRs that I was getting. And, this person said that they are, neutral to the point and talking about IP ownerships and stuff. And I'm not necessarily saying anything that they've said is wrong. I mean, it's just a long read. But it doesn't change the fact that San Diego studios under PlayStation were not coerced. MLB didn't send a fixer in there and they grabbed their creative director and they took him to the bathroom and slammed him on the wall and said, boy, they put a hand on his chest and said, if you don't make a port for the Xbox, you're going to meet us in the parking garage. They never did that. PlayStation voluntarily signed that deal with the stipulations that came with it. And it made business financial sense. And I've been getting all of these, TLDRs, and people here telling me, that, what did this person say? You clearly don't understand how the publishing of a video game works. MLB owns a sub company, blah, 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 blah. My dude, publishing of a video game is not rocket science. Get out of here with that high horse nonsense. You made a claim about the publishing agreement and you can't even show us anything about the publishing agreement. Why? Because you don't have anything. No one has anything about the publishing agreement. All we can look at for the most part for now is the sales numbers that we have and the reports that we have for the sales numbers, because this is a money move. Publishing agreement, throw it in the water. If the game at 2 million copies was the very best the game had ever done in the franchise over so many years, look at this. This thing has been on PlayStation since 1997, right? Based on this article. So in many, many years of existing on the PlayStation platform, it had not clicked that 2 million copies at that kind of a time span or time frame. Then we can already tell that somewhere, somehow, around here, they were saying, dude, what are we doing? 2019, if anybody remembers 2016, FIFA was only edged a little bit by Tom Clancy's The Division. I remember because I was playing FIFA at the time, and when The Division came out, I picked up The Division, but I remember Division sales were so, significant that it actually did edge out, in some cases, FIFA, depending on the week. So at this time, if these numbers were true, that this game was selling somewhere on the PS3 about 1 point something million, 380 and then 960 across 2 platforms. And then the following was still selling about 1 million because it had left the PS3. PS3 was no longer carrying it, I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm not certain, but it doesn't seem like there's a PS3, segmentation or PS2 segmentation here. And I'm saying if to all this, then it stands to say that, man, if FIFA was raking in all that money and all these others were raking in all that money, they were going and saying, we're the top MLB game. Like, we're the only MLB game. What are we doing here making 1 million copies? And it even shows that production cost for this game is basically recycle, just like any other sports games. But FIFA is doing billions of dollars at this time. Like, you think about this timeline, billions. And MLB The Show is like, yay, we did 2 million copies. This was a money move, and PlayStation knew they'd benefit from this. So it'd be hard to convince me otherwise that somewhere, somehow, PlayStation was like, well, we don't want to do it. The sales suck. For the only MLB game out there, if they're not seeing at least tens of millions, it already was a problem. So MLB was like, my gosh, let's go find a way to make money somewhere. And PlayStation did not refuse, because if they did, they could have gone and make their own baseball game. And I've said this before, there are many ways that they could have done it. Character creator, team creator, you log in and you just start cranking out your own team using the same rules, using the exact same whatever, get their own private commentator. This would have been so cheap because people will, commentary is not something that is hard to pull off. You could just find somebody that, like a high school coach of a prominent high school, of a prominent high school program, or a prominent college baseball program or something, and have them feature on something like, take it to the college level. College football killed it in sales. So all this talk about, MLB was whatever, guys, follow the money. If you don't follow the money, you're going to sound all weird and wacky. You'll be talking all over the place and everybody be looking at you going, like one of my audience members said, it doesn't matter if PlayStation was paying for this game. I was like, it doesn't matter. Yet they're here. Berkshire Hathaway and their investors are here saying, yay, thank you so much for all of and then PlayStation is saying thank you for all the adoption of the PS5, and they're celebrating the sales, and it doesn't matter because the sales are going to go towards Sony's pocketbook. You know that, right? This is how you look at the gaming industry. It's the easiest way to be able to decipher and figure out what's going on. Any other way is just you dancing around the topic at hand and wasting everybody's time. So thanks for watching the video. This is very interesting. Game Pass apparently rocks. Xbox apparently has people who buy games. What was that somebody said the other day? Xbox don't buy games. No, I'm going to show you guys that comment string. It's going to be very interesting. You're going to see it yourselves. Thanks once again, folks. Peace out.